Hey guys, Equinox, this is going to be the Prot Warrior video. It's going to be similar to the Brew one I did yesterday, but it's going to be the Prot Warrior version. Basically, just going to go over how they're looking damage-wise, how they're looking tankiness-wise, how they're looking in general in M+, control, etc., etc. But yeah, that's right. I'll hop right into it. We're just going to go over the damage first. So right now, all their damage is very consistent. So they have they're high. They have very high avatar uptime. Shockwave does a lot of damage. Thunderclap and Revenge are a majority of their damage, but Ravager and Shockwave also add in really good burst scenarios. But majority of their damage is just all Thunderclap and Revenge. So their damage is always going to be very consistent. It's always going to be heavy AoE focus, and they also have pretty good single target. Honestly, their single target is nothing to laugh at. They have very potent single target, and I think that is not their AoE is definitely not as high as Brew and Vengeance, but or not consistent AoE. Their consistent AoE is not as high as Vengeance and Brew. Vengeance and Brew pretty much have insane damage pack to pack. Warrior is you have to have Avatar, you have to have Ravager to do big AoE damage. So that's gonna be if damage ends up being the big key component. Prot Warrior is probably gonna fall behind just a little bit. Like their damage isn't bad at all; it's amazing, but it's not as high, if you know what I mean. Tankiness wise, they're the tankiest tank. At least that I've seen. I don't think anything matches Prot Warrior tankiness wise. They have the best physical mitigation in the game from block. They have really good magic mitigation from spell reflect and spell block, which is amazing. They have just straight raw HP from Last Stand, and they have just general absorbs from Ignore Pain. They pretty much have a fully loaded kit, and their block value is pretty high in M+. It's kind of more like BFA Prot Warrior than Shadowlands Prot Warrior. Like Shadowlands Prot Warrior still kind of got owned with block up, and then BFA Prot Warrior is literally invincible with block up. So I think that'll be the big difference. So I think right now, Prot Warrior probably be the #1 tank, just based off the fact that they can be killed. But I think if Brew and Vengeance scale pretty well and end up being pretty tanky, their damage is going to outshine Prot Warrior. But we'll have to see. Damage shouldn't completely change this. Prot Warrior can just end up being broken because all the other tanks got damage nerfed. As far as control goes, I think Prot Warrior has the second best control out of the three. So it'll be Vengeance DH first. They have the most control out of any tank, and then Prot Warrior, then Brew. They're not like big gaps, they're little tiny gaps. So it's like Prot Warrior has slightly less control on caster packs compared to Vengeance DH, and Vengeance DH has more control on caster packs and just overall packs in general. And Prot Warrior just has a little bit less. Brew has a tiny bit less than Prot Warrior because they don't have an AoE interrupt. They just have an AoE CC and Ring of Peace. They don't have Clash anymore, unfortunately, which would help them a lot. But yeah, Prot Warrior and Vengeance DH have the best pack control at the moment. Damage-wise, I would rate Prot Warrior below Vengeance and Brew. And Brew would be a little bit higher than Vengeance, but it is skill based. Vengeance damage is very easy to get out. It's literally just build, spend, build, spend, build, spend. Brew is very highly tied to uptime on Charred Passions and very dependent on your cooldown usage of Bone Dust for an Exploding Keg. So yeah, Prot Warrior is the easiest to use damage wise. Our Vengeance DH is the easiest to use damage wise, sorry, and then Prot Warrior and then Brew. So Prot Warrior pretty much has the biggest payoff right now. It is the easiest survivability wise, the easiest or second easiest damage wise, and yeah, they're just really good. Their tier set is also just simple ease of use. It's literally just Revenge every once in a while, every 5 seconds, keep it up, and then you just get free Ignore Pain from your 4 set. The Ignore Pain is going from 10% to 5% of your damage in the next patch, is what they posted, I'm pretty sure. So it'll be a little bit less good, so you're going to get a little bit less Ignore Pain, but it'll still be 35% of your damage because you run the Brutal Vitality talent, so it'll be 35% total of your damage, and a 40% goes into Ignore Pain. So this will be good. I think right now, in the current dungeons, Prot Warrior like really shines because it has so much mitigation. So like doing Ruby Life Pool as compared to my brew, like you just walk into the pack, press spell block, press avatar, press demo show. You're literally you can't your HP bar doesn't move. You also have 10% passive leech with gear and chance. You're sitting at 12% leech. I'm pretty sure it can go up to 13% if you have the good enchant. 13-14% leech with a good enchant, which is absolutely insane. Vengeance DH does the exact same thing, so both of those tanks have 13-14% leech just sitting there, just base, which is absolutely crazy. I think that's a little too much for Vengeance DH. For Prot Warrior, I think they actually need it since Prot Warrior has very little self-healing. Leech is pretty much all their self-healing, so I think it's actually completely fine that they have that. The only downside of Prot Warrior I could see is if like really constant heavy magic damage every single pack is the meta for some of these dungeons, because they only have spell block every every minute and a half, I think. Yeah, every minute and a half they have spell block, but it's 20 seconds of spell block. So I think that's the only possible weakness they could have. But even then, you have Last Stand, and you have low cooldown Shield Wall, you have Demo Show, and you have just constant ignore pain. So I don't think it should be that big of a deal. Yeah, I think it should be fine. I don't know. Prot Warriors doesn't really have any weaknesses right now. They you have to kind of like search for a weakness. I guess bleeds. So the second boss of Ruby Life Pools, they have a tank mechanic that's a bleed. That's the only thing that really hurts Prot Warrior, and the I guess the Storm Slam on the last boss, because it's bugged though. You should be completely fine against that. But yeah, just really heavy tank hits that go through block would be the only thing that hurts Warrior. But at the moment, I don't see that being a big deal, since you have so many defensive cooldowns with Last Stand, Shield Wall, Demo Shout, and then just add healer externals on top of that, and just general ignore pain shields. I think it's really kind of irrelevant. Overall, I would rate them 9 out of 10 class design wise. I really like the toolkit of Prot Warrior. It's very loaded, and the tree is very diverse. You don't really feel like you're losing out on anything going through the tree. Like if you play Brew, there's some things in the tree you don't want to get. It's on the very odd sides of the tree, or things that just connect that don't make sense. Nizao is a perfect example. If you don't want to play Nizao, you have to take him anyway to branch into the other good talents, which doesn't make much sense. But Prot Warrior, you can pretty much take and pick and choose everything you want. You pretty much don't lose out on anything, which is how I feel. And I think that's why Prot Warrior feels so nice. Like you get everything you want and then some. Compared to other tanks like Vengeance DH, I think is a little bit worse class design or class tree wise. Or spec tree wise, sorry, yeah, spec tree wise. I think Vengeance DH is a little bit worse than Prot Warrior, but Prot Warrior is the best one. It is like a super clean tree. Also, this pack you see on your screen right now, this is a really good example of Prot Warrior survivability. Is like everyone's dead, and I'm just pretty much soloing this pack. I think that's Prot Warrior's biggest strength right now, is how tanky they are. You could even have a lot more self-healing if you spec into Impending Victory too, which is in your general tree. So if you like removed a point out of something and put Impending Victory there, you could get rid of Titanic Throw and get Impending Victory, and that would increase your self-healing a lot. 30% of your max HP every 25 seconds. That would be amazing. But you don't really need it. You have 13% leech, so you're pretty much invincible as it is. Sorry, I know I kind of go on a ramble sometimes, but yeah, I really like Prot Warrior. I don't know. It's really fun. It's not as fun as Vengeance DH and Brew. Personally, that's completely subjective, so you guys could completely disagree, and you might just like it more. But I personally think it's a little bit less fun, just because you don't really need to pay attention too much to live. You're kind of just invincible on your own. This might change in really high keys when you're punished for shield block falling off, which I completely hope happens. I really don't want Prot Warrior to be this invincible, I messed up, I can still just live through everything even if I messed up. I don't like those kind of tanks. I don't think they're very balanced at all. But yeah, that's about it. That's pretty much all I have to say about Prot Warrior. I think they're just really strong right now. They have very little weaknesses. The only weakness they have is very heavy tank hits that go through block, and their damage is a little bit on the weak side. It's not weak at all. It's just a little bit weaker than the highest damage tanks, and that's it. Other than that, they're the strongest in every category pretty much besides control. Like they're the strongest. They're the strongest tankiness wise, and they have extremely strong control. So that just makes them a really good tank. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy playing Prot Warrior next expansion. I hope you think about picking it up. I will have a video out on Vengeance DH tomorrow morning. Yeah. But overall, I think Prot Warrior is pretty insane. Hope you guys enjoy the Dragonflight Beta videos. If you like the video, subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff, and have a good night.